In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Well, here it is, last day of SHOT Show. We're up in the media room, and today's segment is called Breakfast with Steve.
Coffee.
And coffee
Well,
with
I guess
Steve.
that is breakfast. That's all. That's all you
Coffee
really
in
need.
the press room with Steve. Right. We're here with Steve Bozich. He's one of the guys who's been helping us out with the Liberty First Foundation, the Religion of Arms. He actually has two ventures, Armed and Safe and Bear Arms, but today we're going to be speaking about a 501c3 that a lot of guys might find a little interesting. We can explore the genius that is Steve Bozich.
Well, I'm humble. Thank you.
A lot more on the ball than I am about this stuff.
I've been called a lot worse, so
Right.
when it comes to adjectives, I'll take that.
Steve, tell us a little bit about what Armed and Safe is, what you guys are doing, and how you're going to help the Second Amendment community through.
Sure. So Armed and Safe, and really the most important, kind of interesting, sexy, if you will, element of what we're doing is we're going to be giving build classes for 80%. In fact, the more accurate, I think, description is we're going to create a maker space for guns and ammo, right? So students will be able to come in with an 80% and use the tools and equipment under our control and dominion to learn how to turn that 80% into a fully functioning firearm.
All right, now, if you don't know what an 80% is, get your head out of the clouds, get back in the Second Amendment community and do a little research, because the 80% of the thing that's going to stem the tide of gun laws that we're all fighting right now.
Future is now.
Yeah, now, when you speak about 80%, I know you have a couple of varieties that you guys work with.
Yeah, so in terms of classes that Armed and Safe has already given for building, we've done AR-15s, we've done a variety of different Glock 9mm, and 1911s. So we're looking to expand the universe of build classes that we can offer, and we're also hoping that we can, by doing what we're doing, expand the universe of platforms that have 80% versions.
All right, now, like I said, build parties was something that were frowned upon by the ATF and the government in general.
More than frowned upon.
How exactly is it that you have received the blessing of, in order to hold a quote-unquote build class, when everybody else has got shut down?
Right. So the thing with the build party is, and you can actually reference ATF ruling 2015-1, right, for the exact language. But essentially what they said was these build parties were taking place in machine shops, right? Guys would rent out machine shops after hours, or, in some cases they were actually doing it during hours. And what the ATF said was these machine shops are engaged in the business of manufacturing. So if the tools and equipment under their control are used to manufacture firearms, they need an FFL, just like anybody else. That kind of defeats the purpose of a build. So the build parties got shut down. Dead. Engaged in the business of manufacturing or selling is the standard that the ATF uses to determine whether or not you need an FFL under the Gun Control Act. And it requires, in part, that you operate with the principal objective of livelihood and profit. So I got the bright idea of asking the IRS if I could set up a 501c3 nonprofit to give build classes for the purpose of firearm education and safety. And after several $1,000s and many, many months of waiting, they said yes. So not only are we going to have these build classes, but we're going to have reloading workshops. Somebody can come in, get certified, learn how to reload, and they can actually come back and use our presses and dies to build their own loads. Our ultimate vision for our first Armed and Safe location is to have a range in the back, so that once you build your load, once you build your gun, build your load, you can go in the back and test your rounds with the gun you built.
There's got to be... I've never given birth, but I can imagine that next to giving birth to a child, that's going to have to be a pretty fulfilling experience.
Right?
To be able to be there from start to finish, to be able to do everything and anything as far as the construction of the gun, milling your own parts, assembling it, putting your rounds together, and taking them out to the range. That's going to be one hell of a thing. And the fact that you found a way, using the federal government's own language, to be able to do something like this to serve the Second Amendment community, that's outstanding. Not a lot of guys probably thought about trying to go this route and use the existing laws to justify your own activity.
Hey, there's a lot of guys that have done a lot of great things, greater than even what I'm doing, I think, but the SIG brace, for instance, or, the bump fire, rest in peace. There are a variety of different things that have complied with the letter of the law. And I think it does two things. One, we educate people about what the law is, which is actually one of our goals. And two, it highlights the fact that the laws are imperfect. And really, what we have to focus on is ourselves, collectively. And so one of the things I hope Armed and Safe can do is make the gun world better, internally and externally. Yeah, we're doing these build classes, we're doing these reloading workshops. We're also going to do, in fact, we've already done firearm literacy classes for journalism students, so that maybe we can get to them and teach them the difference between a clip in a magazine or a Glock and an anti-aircraft missile.
Right, or to be able to differentiate the fact of a sporting rifle from the quote-unquote assault rifle.
Right.
If you can get them using the proper vernacular in an article, you may be able to start to turn the public opinion, because people are going to see them for what they are and not what the media tells them that they are, and more importantly, not what the politicians tell us what they are.
Right. And so that's just one of the many variety of things that we hope to be able to accomplish. Safe storage, suicide prevention. There's a lot of tough nuts that we think we can crack. Do what we can on our side of the aisle, so to speak, to help end gun violence. And if it saves just one life, it'll be worth it.
Well, it's a much more noble route to do education than it is to try and regulate something where the entire community suffers for what one or two people do.
Right.
If you could address the cause rather than the outcome.
Absolutely.
That's going to be much more valuable in the long run. Because everybody's got to be in this to preserve our rights. Living in a free society, the world's not made out of sponge, and bad things are going to happen regardless. Drunk drivers, we don't surrender our cars because somebody drives drunk. If somebody does a mass shooting, we shouldn't surrender our firearms because somebody else had a malignant intent.
Right.
These are things that, the reactionary policies of government and media affect us in ways that, we can't even begin to count.
It's actually great that you mentioned that. I saw a quote running around the internet the other day. It said, banning guns or new gun laws is like trying to end drunk driving by keeping sober drivers from behind the wheel.
Well,
and that's exactly it. A robust Second Amendment, gun community, I think, is critical to, an open, free, and polite society.
Yeah. Well, we have 47,000 gun laws in the United States nationwide, roughly. That number always seems to expand. Mm-hmm. And we have 47,000 gun laws, and we still have people killing one another.
Yeah, it's amazing.
For one reason or another. And it's very rarely the law-abiding gun owner. It's always somebody who's not law-abiding. So is the 47,001st gun law going to be the magic bullet?
Right.
No
pun intended.
If they couldn't get it done then, we have really no reason to have any faith that they're going to be able to do it now.
And I think it's safe to say at this point that they really they're not interested in, ending gun violence.
No, not at all.
They're interested in ending guns.
Well, they're interested in... Well, no, they're not interested in ending guns. They were interested in ending the public possession of the guns.
Yes.
Because as long as they have access and control over the people that they want to have the guns.
I should have been more specific. Our guns.
Yes. Our guns.
Absolutely.
Because every anti-gun politician loves themselves a firearm so long as it's standing behind them.
Right.
And not on the opposing side.
Or in their own purse, Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah, who doesn't know how to keep her finger off a trigger in a photo op.
Goodness.
Oh, fuck her. No, we could go on all day about this, but by the time we're done, the coffee's going to get cold. And
it's the last day of shot. Yeah, we've got a lot to do today.
We got at least another 10 miles of walking we have to do today, and a lot more conversation. Now, before we go, we know that you served in the military.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about your military service, if you would.
Sure. So I joined in December of 2001. I had never given actually any consideration. I was a little bit older. I was in my mid-20s when I joined. I had never given any consideration to military service, but then 9/11 happened, and I'm like, okay, well, if we're going to go to war, then there's a time. Now it's time to join up. So I joined out of Boston, Massachusetts, where I'm originally from. Don't blame me. I left as soon as I could. And I actually joined as a chemical operations specialist. For those of you who have been in the military, I thought it was going to be a relevant MOS at the time. I apologize. We specialized in training other soldiers on how to protect, decontaminate, identify nuclear, biological, and chemical contaminants on the battlefield, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Essentially, I ended up washing gas masks for 4 years. So I did, my first duty assignment was in Kaiserslautern, Germany, which is part of, everybody knows Ramstein. Yeah. So you say the KMC and very few people know what you're talking about. I was right behind Ramstein. My second duty assignment, I got picked up for corporal recruiting. So I did 2 years as a corporal recruiter from 2004 to 2006 in, of all places, the Congressional District of Barney Frank. If you know who that is, then you can appreciate that those were probably two of all of these gray hairs came from there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can tell you some stories about that, but it would take the rest of the day. And after I was coming out of a special duty assignment like that, I asked to go down to Fort Bragg. And my branch, God bless them, decided to send me back to Germany instead, so I did 2 years working for NATO. And after those 2 years, it was time for me to re-enlist. So I said, I'll re-enlist to go to Fort Bragg. And they told me I could go to Fort Drum, up in upstate New York, not too far from you.
All right.
And that was the end of my my Army story, because I was not going to Drum. My wife was already down here, she was already in North Carolina. So
yeah, that's the funny thing. When you stay here long enough, you sort of think of it as you're home away from home, and I keep thinking I'm in New York when I'm not.
Right. Oh, well, you don't even. I mean, this is just outside of reality. This is my first time in Vegas, so.
My first time back in 25 years,
okay.
And there are no more $4.99 buffets. We can tell you that much. Now, where are you now with Armed and Safe? Where are you guys located now?
Okay, so we're still in the Fort Bragg area. We're in Moore County, which is right behind Fort Bragg. And we are currently, I've done a variety of build classes so far, but I don't have an actual physical location yet. I'm actually waiting for some real estate to become available. Hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months that'll happen. And we will have an actual location where we can schedule regular classes and people can come in and, finish that 80% AR that they've been, thinking about doing, or, any of a number of different things.
Well, we know that that's going to happen probably soon. And at some point or another, we're going to want to actually do a video of an AR being milled. And it's probably going to be worthwhile if you have a student who's eager to learn.
Are you eager?
Yes, I am, and I just am going to happen to be down in the North Carolina area.
That's fantastic.
So, as happenstance works out, the next installment of Coffee with Steve should be taking place
good
in
deal.
a build class, and we're going to give everybody a look into how these are done, how it's operated, and the kind of professional environment that Steve is going to be providing for everybody.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges that I've had getting started is building a curriculum that is able to be geared towards, kind of largest, group of people, the largest swath. You don't have to come in and, have any kind of machine experience to take one of our classes. So right. I want to make it so that somebody that, has zero experience with firearms, with machining, with any of it, can still come in and produce, an end product that's as good as you would find anywhere else. So if I can get you through that class, and then that's success right there. That's the standard.
Yeah, I know guns, but I don't know how to build them. That's Tyler Flood's category. He's our resident builder. But this is going to be my first foray into building my own AR, and if I'm going to do it, I want to do it from the ground up. And I find no reason why I shouldn't sign on and take a class with the guy who figured out a way how to use the language to benefit the Second Amendment community. So,
and hopefully by the time you come down, we already have that storefront. But in the meantime, we are looking. I'm here at SHOT in Vegas, introducing Armed and Safe to the gun world. What I'm really looking for is exposure and buy-in from the gun world. And so, if anybody wants to go to www.armedandsafe.us and make a contribution. It's tax deductible, and we'd certainly appreciate the support.
And you'll also find their links on the L1F.us, and if you're a member of the Religion of Arms or Liberty First Foundation on Facebook, you'll find Steve floating around all over social media.
Yeah, I'm usually in Facebook jail, so...
But we'll always find a way to get a little pigeon, put a note on them, and send them across the network.
Yeah, my phone number's on my website, so you can shoot me a text. That's usually the best way to get a hold of me.
Like I said, we want to do everything that we can to help the Second Amendment community, and if we have a lot of keyboard warriors in our community, and it might be time for us to enlist them into action, get them on their feet, and let them do something to physically represent themselves and the community, so that the rest of the world gets to see that that silent majority is not going to be silent much more.
Amen.
Amen. Steve, thank you very much.
Pleasure's mine. Thanks for having me.
We're going to go hit the rest of the floor and get everybody else on camera.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
Spinning right.